okay, nothing's going to change. It's just me. Okay. Welcome to our office, and welcome to the Wednesday night class. And the reason I give this class is because I went to the chiropractor for 10 years before I found out what it was. And I just went in, I used it as an expensive aspirin, and I got adjusted, and then I came back maybe 2 years later, maybe 6 months later. I ran my own care for, let's call it, for about 10 years. I was one of those people that had to get carried into the chiropractor the first time. I call it the two-friend chiropractor visit. One person on either side of you, and they're carrying you into the office, because I had just had a baby when I first went to the chiropractor. And by bending over and changing her diaper without a changing table, I hurt my back. And so I was like this, 20-year-old mom, unable to walk. It was kind of hard. And my first husband had been a chiropractic patient since he was little. He had gone to the chiropractor every Friday with his family because his father had had a muscle wasting disease that had started wasting the muscles of his arm, and they had told him that he was going to be paralyzed eventually, and in a wheelchair. And my first husband's mom had searched for a healer all around Pennsylvania, looking for someone who could help him, and found a chiropractor. The chiropractor had helped him so much that not only was he not paralyzed, he had a perfectly good other arm. His arm had gotten completely paralyzed before they found out the cause of the problem, which was a chiropractic problem, and he had fixed him. But as a result of that, the whole family got in the car on Friday and drove to the chiropractor, and everybody got adjusted on Friday for my first husband's entire life. And then when we were married, every Friday he went to the chiropractor. On Friday, after work, he would cash his check and go to the chiropractor. And I was like, why are you going to the chiropractor? What in the world are you doing over there? He said, it helps your body heal itself, and it saved my dad's life. So I'm going to go every Friday for the rest of my life. So that's how I was introduced to chiropractic. Of course, I didn't go every Friday. I waited until I was in terrible shape, and that chiropractor just slapped the x-rays up and said, oh, here's where the problem is, popped my lower back in, and told me to come back whenever I felt like it. Then, the next time it happened, he had moved by then. I went to another chiropractor, did the same thing, popped it back in, told me to come back when it hurt again. And then finally, I had gone to the chiropractor probably about, in that 10 years, probably about 20 times. And I started getting a really bad problem with my neck. I couldn't turn it anymore. The original injury for me had been a car accident when I was 15. I had run into a tree with my learner's permit and had to have a lot of stitches. And my poor sainted mother, I'm telling you. So I had to have a lot of stitches, but I didn't know anything about chiropractic, and so it had healed out of place. So any of you who were in here for an accident, if it heals out of place for, let's call it 13 years, and that pressure's on the nerve for that period of time, you could start having some problems. The first problem that I started having was that I got strep throat every year. And every year I would go and get antibiotics, and it would kill the symptom, but I still seriously had the problem that was causing it. And then the next year I would get strep throat a couple times and take the antibiotics, same situation, go away, the symptom would go away, but eventually it would come back again. And what happened was that I got tumor growing on my neck then. Went into the doctor, couldn't turn my head. Here was my range of motion, just like this. Couldn't turn it. I could only turn my body. I was taking 8 extra strength bufferin a day, wasn't touching it. Could barely swallow. They took blood They looked at it, they're like, it's not an infection. Then a line of doctors started coming in and checking. Then another one would come in the door. This is not fun when you're sitting there as a patient with that. And eventually they said, you need to go and get a biopsy. Mm-hmm. Well, I was a single mom working my way through my undergraduate. I did not have health insurance. Mm-hmm. And so I did what I could afford to do, which was go down to the waffle shop and have a cup of coffee. Talk it over with my girlfriend, trying to figure out what I was going to do. Mm-hmm. And Mike was sitting in there. And somebody in the restaurant said, hey, this guy over here can fix your neck. I see you can't turn it. Mm-hmm. I walked over to Mike, and I just went just like that, pulled my collar down. I said, you ever seen anything that looked like this? And he goes, looks like a chiropractic problem to me. So I was like, I walked right over to the phone. That was when you had pay phones, right? So I got my quarter, put it in the pay phone. I called out, I asked him what his number was. And I called and I made an appointment just then and there in his office. And I came in that day, got x-rays, and I'm telling you, after my first adjustment, my pain went away on the table. And then about 3 months later, my problem was completely gone, and my energy came back in about a year. Mm-hmm. So I went to chiropractic school as a result of that. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm standing here right now, to tell you the story about what chiropractic is. Because this chart was what I saw when I first came into Ocean Chiropractic. It was the chart of effects. And as you see here, it's a spine, and the nerves are coming out from between the vertebrae. And what's going on here is that all of these areas are supplied by nerves. And each of those nerves goes to a different part of the body. So you come down here at T11, that wire or nerve goes to the kidneys. And that was the first place, here in this office was the first place I ever heard about how the body works and how the nervous system heals. Every single solitary disease that you could have called is cured by your own body. Your body is a self-healing organism. It has direction from your brain, and your brain sends electrical signals down through that spine to every organ and every cell, and every bit of tissue in your body gets that information. And then it sends information back. And that information tells you, oh, this hurts, or oh, I'm not working right, or whatever it wants to talk about, it sends a signal back telling you that there's a problem. And also, your body's building 12.5 million cells a minute. Every single minute, you're getting 12.5 million cells a minute building in your body. And that many are dying in a healthy body. But what if you have pressure on the nerve? What do you think happens? Do you think that it works better or worse? Exactly. It starts working worse. And so what had happened to me, and what has happened to all of the people that have come into our office that have chiropractic problems, is that they have an early degenerative process or a very recent one, like a car accident. Or for me, I had a car accident, but it was when I was 15, and then by the time I was 29, the degeneration had occurred. The minute that you start having a subluxation, and that's what you call a bone out of place putting pressure on a nerve, it's called subluxation. The minute that you have a subluxation, the body starts to work improperly. You start to have an interference with the body's innate ability to heal itself. And so it's interrupted. It's as if you have blocked off that electrical signal.